Hey everybody, it's Matt, and today I want to talk to you about the genius of one of my heroes, Art Bell. So Art Bell was an American legend, is an American legend, even though he's passed on now. In 2018 he passed away, and he's still an American legend, an American radio legend. And I want to explain why I think Art Bell is such an American legend. Okay? If you don't know who Art Bell is, or who Art Bell was the mastermind. Art Bell was the guy who gave us Coast to Coast, Midnight in the Desert, all these kind of crazy radio shows that we used to listen to at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning that were talk radio. Art Bell was paranormal before paranormal was cool. I mean, back in the 80s and 90s, maybe even before, he was kind of talking about this, right? But Art Bell was the original, the OG, entertaining showman, beautiful radio guy that had a point. And we're going to talk about Art Bell's point here a little bit from my perspective. Now, Art Bell, some of the content he had on his show, a little bit crazy, okay, a little bit loony. It was a little bit out there, but that was the beauty of it. That was the point of it. That was the whole imagination of it, is that he could be talking to a time traveler. Or was it Victor the alien? Well, some of you who've listened to Art Bell and who've been fans of Art Bell, you remember when Victor the alien was on the show. Father Malachi Martin, the Exorcist guy and stuff. This Bob Lazar was on there. Let me tell you something. He was the king of cool before Joe Rogan made this stuff cool. Okay? And all of us have a debt of gratitude to Art Bell. So number one, you identify a market, okay? You identify a place. You identify this group of people, right? Who maybe stand out a little bit, who the normal people of society call crazy and strange and all of this stuff, right? Okay? Now, these are probably people who stay awake at 1, 2, 3, 4 in the morning, drinking coffee, smoking cigarettes from their nicotine-stained walls, and, because they smoke inside kind of people, right? And it's okay, because Art Bell gave them a place to socialize, a place to have a community, a place to connect with each other that was non-harmful. It didn't hurt nobody. There was no ridicule. There was no shame for being a little bit loony. You didn't get ridiculed. In fact, Art Bell, even though he said himself some of the characters on his show, he didn't necessarily agree with the people that called in. He didn't know if they were true. He didn't know if he liked them. He didn't know if any of this was true. But he was just giving them an outlet, giving them a point. You see, and that's how this whole thing works. He was giving them a place to talk. He was giving them a place to socialize. Yes, giving them a platform. Before giving them a platform was cool. Okay, so let's think about how this whole thing works. Okay, so Art Bell goes in at midnight, right? Midnight to 3 a.m. or whatever time zone it was there, midnight in the desert, right? Coast to coast, whatever it was. What competition does he have other than maybe a few local hosts, some music stations, or some regional stations? He doesn't have a lot of competition. Okay, so automatically, because he's at midnight to 3 a.m., he's winning. At least in terms of competitors, he's winning. Okay? So then you move on to the next segment. he finds a forgotten segment of the market. He finds a segment, a marketplace, or a market of people who have been forgotten. They've been ignored. They've been alienated. They've been treated like they don't belong. They've been treated as strange. He goes out and finds a market segment that is off by itself. This market segment, probably people who stay awake late at night. They like a good story. They like a good conspiracy. They're the black helicopters and the men in black thing. And I love this stuff too, guys. I love it too. It's good entertainment. He finds that market. He found a niche market. Okay? And then what does Art Bell do? He creates a format for that niche market. He creates a place for them to go. Midnight in the Desert, Coast to Coast, Art Bell After Dark, whatever it was, right? He creates a place for them to go. And he knows that his people, his followers, his audience, he knows his audience pretty well. He knows there's a hint of paranoia. He knows that there's a hint of government distrust. He knows that there's a hint of disdain for law and order. But yet these are blue-blooded Americans, good, solid people, right? Okay? He knows his audience. He then creates a format that is easily accepted by the niche that he's discovered, that he's carved out. Okay? And then when he creates those rules, which were actually very few of them, people followed the rules for the most part. And if they didn't, he just cut them off. Hit the hang up button. So now let's think about how this works in a little bit different way. Something else that Art Bell did was he didn't screen his calls on his radio program. He didn't go through and, have a call screener. It's just whatever the phone rang. He had east of the Rockies, west of the Rockies, and his international line. And occasionally he would have a line for some special topic or something. He didn't screen his callers. When you called the show, he would answer the phone and start talking to you, especially on open lines. You can find some of this stuff on YouTube now. Go listen to some of his Art Bell open lines. They're classic. They're absolutely classic radio. So, here's what he does. He identifies something that he's passionate about, connecting with kind of strange groups of society. Okay? This is his niche. He's connecting with these people. And then he's talking to them. He's opening up a format for these folks. He's getting to know them, right? He's allowing them a place to be accepted. He's found his niche. There's not a lot of rules and regulations and stuff like that. The topics are pretty interesting, Really, Art Bell is the godfather of paranormal entertainment, and especially on the radio. And he wasn't afraid to talk about almost anything. You see, he identified a market segment where he belonged in the market, where there was very little competition, and it was going to be easy for him to get into. Okay? This is what he did. Find a time, a place, a forum where there's very little competition. Figure out who your audience is and niche down from there. Don't create a lot of rules and restrictions. Keep it very, very simple. Have fun. And don't take yourself too seriously. Okay? And play with people. Play with people. Give them a place to play. Give them a place to dream. Give them a place to be. Give them a place to exist. This is what made Art Bell a radio master in the United States. And it's what made him an entertainment master. I think if you ever get the chance to study Art Bell, you should. Because in a lot of ways I owe my career to Art Bell. And I think a lot of us who are in this business do. So we can learn a lot from Art Bell. And you may call him what you want. You may say what you want about him. But it works. And he was genius before it was cool to be a media genius.